Dear Libra, what if I told you that a man in your life is changing not a little, but profoundly because of you? And that he doesn't even realize you're the reason his inner world is being rearranged? You didn't preach to him. You didn't try to fix him. You didn't even intend to be his teacher. And yet, by simply being yourself, by choosing truth over performance, softness over strategy, and presence over pressure, you've begun to dismantle everything he once believed about love, connection, and who he has to be. If that sounds impossible, stay with me. Because the truth is, you didn't come here by accident. When Venus, your ruling planet, forms a powerful trine to Neptune as it does this week, the universe opens a soft portal, one where emotion speaks louder than words, and authenticity creates ripple effects we can't control. And in that subtle yet sacred portal, you've become someone's mirror. You are showing a man not with force, but with frequency that love doesn't require performance. It requires presence. That truth doesn't repel, it reveals. And that being seen fully is not a threat, but a freedom. But here's the part that may surprise you most. You've been doing all this without even realizing it. There is a man around you right now who doesn't know how to name what's happening to him. He only knows he feels off balance. His usual armor doesn't work with you. His charm doesn't manipulate the moment. His masks don't land. And that Libra's your gift. You're not pushing. You're not demanding. You're simply being consistent, calm, and true. And it's shaking him in ways no chaos ever could. Let me ask you something personal. Have you noticed him becoming unusually quiet after even casual conversations? Have you caught him staring not at your face, but into your essence as if searching for permission to be real? Have you felt him back away and then return, confused, but magnetically drawn back toward your calm? These aren't coincidences. You're witnessing a soul stretch itself toward truth, toward courage, toward you. And if any of this resonates, if your intuition is quietly nodding, then I invite you to do something powerful. Leave a comment below and simply write, "He's changing because of my presence." That's all. No need to explain. Because when you do, you'll not only anchor this moment into your reality, you'll also let other Libras know they are not alone in this sacred assignment. And let me take a sacred pause right now to say, thank you. Thank you for your time, your energy, your heart. Every like, every share, every subscription to Zodiac Whisper Tarot isn't just a digital number, it's a sacred agreement. An agreement that says, I'm choosing to walk in light. I'm choosing to live aligned. I'm choosing to be part of a spiritual family that sees me. Your presence here allows this channel to continue sharing healing, awakening, and truth, not just predictions, but deep messages that shift soul paths. And trust me, Libra. Today's message? You'll want to stay with it until the very last moment. Because what's being revealed is not just about him, it's about you. So tell me, beautiful Libra, what brought you here today? Was it a whisper in your heart? A dream you couldn't shake? Or a sudden knowing that something unspoken is finally rising to the surface? Whatever it was, it wasn't random. It was written. Let's unfold it together. There's something quietly powerful about the way you, dear Libra, hold space. You may think you're simply being polite, thoughtful, or gracious, but underneath those graceful gestures lies a much deeper frequency. What you offer the world isn't just balance or courtesy, it's a mirror. And the reflection it provides is so honest, so unwavering, that those around you can no longer hide behind what's safe, polished, or performative. Your kindness isn't passive. It's active. It disarms. It awakens. It creates the kind of internal disruption that leads to real transformation. When someone steps into your energetic field, they're not just encountering another person, they're encountering a vibration that vibrates truth into the open. Not through confrontation, but through consistency. You don't challenge people directly, yet your calm becomes a confrontation to their chaos. Your ability to remain composed becomes the very thing that forces others to feel what they've long avoided. And this isn't accidental. This is the natural effect of living in alignment with high vibrational integrity. The law of attraction teaches us that like attracts like, but it also reveals that unhealed energy is magnetized toward what feels clean, clear, and true. So when someone wearing emotional armor meets your steady heart, they begin to loosen. Not because you're asking them to, but because your frequency makes anything false feel too heavy to carry any longer. They begin to shed layers of ego, of performance, of self-protection, and in doing so, they encounter parts of themselves they forgot existed. Tarot offers us a beautiful lens into this experience. The Queen of Swords, sharp but fair, discerning but loving, embodies so much of what you bring to those around you. She listens with the heart, but never compromises truth. She cuts through illusion, not to punish, but to free. And the Justice card, your astrological archetype, holds the scales of inner clarity. It reminds others that what we put into the world, whether honesty or avoidance, eventually returns to us. You are that returning mirror. In numerology, October, your birth month, breaks down into the number 1, 1 plus 0, which represents beginnings, independence, and divine leadership. But for Libra, that 1 is lived through the path of the number 6, the number of compassion, of sacred responsibility, of love that heals. It's no wonder you tend to become the emotional compass for those around you. Your presence activates others not because you demand anything of them, but because your soul silently invites them to rise. If you've ever noticed someone's voice falter around you, or watched their eyes flicker between admiration and discomfort, you may be witnessing this exact shift. That moment when your inner peace stirs up their inner truth. It's the kind of moment that no one speaks about, but everyone remembers. This gift you carry is subtle, but it is sacred. And in a world that so often rewards noise, speed, and certainty, your quiet balance becomes an offering of something so rare it almost feels divine. You don't need to be loud to lead. You don't need to correct others to guide them. Sometimes, the greatest catalyst for someone's change is standing in front of them, completely at peace with who they are. That's when they realize how far they've drifted from their own truth. And while you may not always be thanked for this role, know that the shift you cause echoes far beyond the moment. Sometimes, people don't realize how much you've helped them until long after you're gone. But the ripple continues. Because healing doesn't always arrive through dramatic breakthroughs. Sometimes, it begins in the presence of someone who simply refuses to be anything other than true. If you've ever seen someone pause, falter, or shift around you without knowing why, comment below. I see the truth behind the mask. That one sentence could confirm what another Libra is feeling, but doubting. Because you are not alone in this gift. And it's time you started owning the quiet revolution you carry within you. Sometimes the most profound lessons are the ones we don't mean to teach. And Libra, that is exactly what's happening right now in your energy field, quietly, subtly, yet unshakably. There's a man whose world is shifting because of you. Not because you're giving him advice, not because you're guiding him with words, and certainly not because you're asking him to change. No, what's happening is far more mysterious and far more powerful. He is changing simply because he can no longer remain the same in your presence. This is a man who has spent most of his life mastering how to appear composed. He's learned how to say what people want to hear, how to maintain an image, how to protect himself from discomfort by becoming the version of himself that others expect. Emotional control has been his shield, charm, his sword. Vulnerability? Too risky. Authenticity? Too exposed. He has likely lived within a well-guarded role, the strong one, the reliable one, or the untouchable one, and it's worked for him. Until now. Because then he met you. Your energy doesn't play by the same rules. You don't force truth, but you reflect it. You don't demand vulnerability, but you invite its imply by refusing to offer anything less than your whole, integrated self. And that's what makes you dangerous in the best, most beautiful way. To a man who's used to controlling how he is seen, your transparency is disarming. It breaks the script. It short-circuits the performance. It makes him realize, maybe for the first time, that he cannot hide from himself anymore. What happens next is subtle, but unmistakable. He pauses more often. He falls quiet, not because he has nothing to say, but because he's hearing an echo within himself that he can't ignore. He looks at you like he's trying to find something and not in you, but in himself, reflected through your calm. You become that sacred mirror in the inner temple of his life. Not the one that flatters or feeds illusion, but the one that gently reveals. You show him not who he pretends to be, but who he could be if he let go. If he pulls away, it's not rejection, it's retreat. Not from you, but from the intensity of finally seeing the difference between performance and presence. It's a spiritual recalibration in motion. It's what happens when the soul is cracked open just enough for truth to slip in. When someone feels, sometimes for the first time, what it's like to be witnessed without manipulation, loved without needing to impress, and accepted without armor. And here's the most tender part of this journey. You may never hear him say it. He may never fully articulate what you awakened in him. That's okay. Because transformation isn't always loud. It doesn't always come with tears or grand declarations. Sometimes, it happens in small silence, in the afterglow of a conversation, in the soft trembling behind a smile, in the way he starts showing up a little differently, not just with you but with everyone. As someone who walks in integrity, your only job is to stay rooted in truth. Keep showing up as you are. The universe does not ask you to perform the miracle, it simply asks you to become the space where miracles can unfold. You don't need to manage someone else's transformation. But you can honor it. You can be the quiet force that helps the truth rise to the surface, knowing it will unfold in perfect timing. And if you're wondering whether this is really happening, ask yourself this. Have you noticed his silence feels charged? His presence feels unsteady? Has he been circling back around, unsure of what's happening, but unable to stay away? If so, you're not imagining it. You're witnessing the unraveling of an identity that no longer fits him, and you, Libra, are the catalyst. If this resonates with you, comment below. I'm witnessing the transformation. Let that phrase affirm not just your role in his journey, but the sacred assignment your soul already knew it came here to fulfill. And trust that you don't need to understand it all to know it's real. Sometimes, the proof is in the quiet ways people begin to show up differently because of the light you refuse to dim. It's often misunderstood, this quiet way you love, Libra. You're not loud about it. You don't demand it. And you never try to mold someone into your idea of who they should become. Your heart has always been more refined than that, more patient, more knowing. You don't fall for potential blindly, but when you do see it, you hold space for it like a sanctuary. And that space, that field of acceptance and truth you offer, is what teaches others how to love, not through control, not through fixing, but through presence. The man whose energy has been orbiting yours is beginning to realize something he never questioned before. That he doesn't have to perform to stay. That he doesn't have to perfect himself to be held. That love, real love, the kind that heals, grows, and liberates, was never about being impressive. It was about being known. And Libra, that's what you offer with each moment you choose to be sincere over strategic, compassionate over reactive, and real over polished. You don't love with conditions. You love with clarity. And that alone can be life-altering. When we look at the archetype of the lovers in tarot, reversed, it tells the story of a soul at a crossroads between comfort and truth, between illusion and intimacy. This man has, for most of his life, chosen relationships where he could remain distant, safe, unseen. But your presence is shifting something elemental. He's being called out of hiding. He's standing at the threshold where love no longer requires a mask but instead invites a surrender. The law of attraction teaches that we don't attract what we want, we attract who we are. And you, Libra, have chosen to embody the frequency of love that doesn't chase, doesn't control, and doesn't collapse. You've chosen to hold your vibration, even when others pull back in confusion. That choice creates a sacred tension. It forces every person in your field to do one of two things: rise to match your integrity or fall away to protect their illusion. What's happening between you and this man may not always feel comfortable. There might be sleepless nights. A racing heart that doesn't make sense. A flood of thoughts and emotions after seemingly small interactions. These aren't coincidences, theory, emotional triggers rising to the surface for integration. Your body knows what your mind is still catching up to, that your soul is being asked to hold a new level of intimacy, one that no longer requires self-sacrifice, silence, or shrinking. And he, in turn, is feeling the call to drop his armor or risk losing the most honest connection he's ever felt. In a world that often rewards dominance, speed, and certainty, your kind of love feels like rebellion. Because it doesn't seek to win, it seeks to witness. It doesn't conquer, it understands. And perhaps that's what makes it so transformative. Your way of being challenges the narrative that love must be earned. You remind others simply by example that love can be safe, even in its rawness. That connection isn't built through performance, but through truth. If you've ever wondered whether your softness has power, whether your stillness has impact, the answer is unfolding right now in the man whose gaze lingers longer, whose silences feel louder, whose return always feels inevitable. You're not just being loved, you're teaching love. This isn't about changing him. It's about allowing your truth to create space for his own. And if you felt any part of this within your own journey, I invite you to write in the comments, "I allow myself to be fully me." Let those words anchor you. Let them be your declaration to the universe that you no longer perform for love, you receive it by being aligned. And if this connection continues, whether through growth or goodbye, know that you showed someone what love without conditions looks like. And that, Libra, is a legacy more powerful than words could ever explain. What may have started as a silent lesson you're teaching someone else, Libra, is also quietly becoming a profound teaching for you. This journey, this soul-level connection that has stirred such emotional depth, was never meant to be one-directional. While you are showing him how to soften into honesty, how to stand still in the presence of truth, and how to love without manipulation, he is showing you something too. He is revealing to you the deep importance of patience without words, and the sacred strength in allowing someone to unfold in their own timing, not yours. You see, it's easy to forget that even healers, even peacemakers like you, need healing and peace themselves. Sometimes, we become so focused on holding the space for others that we forget to notice what the space is trying to teach us in return. This man may not always meet you where you are emotionally. He may not respond in ways that make sense to your Libra mind, which thrives on harmony and understanding. But in those moments of disconnection or confusion, you are learning the art of detachment, not the kind that pushes people away, but the kind that trusts that love doesn't have to be forced in order to be real. When you feel the urge to reach in and help him open up faster, or guide him toward the emotional clarity you believe he needs, pause. Breathe. Come back to yourself. This is where your real growth happens. You're not being asked to change him, you're being asked to honor his journey, even when it doesn't move in sync with yours. That's not weakness, Libra. That's wisdom. Holding space with integrity means trusting the process even when it looks messy. From a self-help and energetic wellness perspective, you might notice that your body speaks when your emotions aren't fully expressed. If you've been feeling heightened anxiety, muscle tension, or trouble sleeping, especially after emotionally intense interactions, consider nourishing your nervous system. Simple things like magnesium-rich foods, grounding walks, or a moment of quiet breathing can help you realign. You are sensitive to emotional shifts around you, and part of your gift is being able to translate what others cannot say. But remember, you don't have to absorb what isn't yours. Emotionally, this is an invitation to lean into unconditional love, but not just for him. For you. Let this experience remind you that you are not lovable because you always say the right thing or show up perfectly. You are lovable because you are real. The parts of you that feel unsure, tired, or even frustrated at times are still worthy of being seen and cared for. You don't have to be the strong one all the time. You're allowed to be held, too. Financially and energetically, your alignment matters more now than ever. When your emotional frequency is steady, abundance flows more effortlessly. But if you feel rushed, uncertain, or emotionally off-center, give yourself permission to delay big decisions. Opportunities that are truly aligned will never pass you by. Use this time to listen for what your intuition is saying beneath the noise. That clarity will lead you to the right doors at the right moment. And if you're someone who's been sensing a deeper calling in your work, perhaps feeling drawn toward mentoring, leading, or even facilitating healing spaces, this may not be coincidence. As Libra energy ripples through relationships, group dynamics, and collective harmony, your natural ability to balance and guide others becomes a resource the world needs more than ever. Don't underestimate the value of your calm presence. In workplaces, in friendships, in quiet rooms where no one else knows how to de-escalate tension, you do. That's not just a soft skill. That's a soul skill. This chapter of your story isn't only about how you're affecting someone else. It's also about how you're expanding, learning to love more freely, and reclaiming the power of being loved without conditions. You're not being called to chase. You're being called to stand tall in your truth and let love meet you there. Because the most healing relationships are not the ones where we change each other but the ones where we both grow, simply because we chose to stay honest. There's something incredibly powerful about what you're doing, Libra, and maybe you haven't even realized it yet. You're not waiting for miracles or recreating them. Not with loud declarations or dramatic gestures, but with every quiet choice to be honest, every moment you choose presence over performance, patience over pressure, and truth over convenience. That's where the magic begins, not outside of you, not in some distant alignment of stars, but right here, in the way you live, breathe, and show up as your whole self. You see, the greatest impact we can have on another human being doesn't come from trying to change them. It comes from embodying the very energy we hope they'll remember exists within them too. You've done that. You've become a mirror for someone, not the kind that flatters, but the kind that reflects what's real. And while it may feel subtle on the surface, inside his world, everything is shifting. And it's because of you. But this isn't about him. Not fully. This journey has always been just as much about your own awakening as it is about his transformation. About recognizing that you don't need to conform to be kept. You don't need to compromise to be loved. You don't need to raise your voice or lower your worth to be seen. You already are the presence that calls others to rise. So, ask yourself gently, where in your life have you been shrinking when you could be standing? Where have you been waiting for permission when your soul has already whispered, go? Where have you doubted your ability to impact others when clearly, someone is unraveling and rebuilding simply by standing in your field? This is your reminder that you don't have to hold on tightly to make something real. The love that's meant for you will feel like ease, not exhaustion. And the people who are meant to grow beside you won't need convincing, they'll just need your continued truth. If there's someone in your life right now who's softening in your presence, if you've seen the hesitation in their eyes turn into self-reflection, if you've noticed their silence deepen after your honesty, then please take a moment to acknowledge that. You are not imagining this shift. You are witnessing transformation. And more importantly, you are initiating it. Comment below, I'm witnessing the transformation. Let those words serve not only as confirmation of what you feel but as an offering to others who are quietly walking the same path. When we speak our truth aloud, we give others permission to recognize theirs too. And if this video stirred something within you, an insight, a memory, a sense of clarity, I invite you to take one small action to anchor that energy. Like this video to amplify its frequency. Subscribe to Zodiac Whisper Tarot so that each week, you receive guidance aligned not just with your sign, but with your soul. And share this message with someone who may need the reminder that their quiet presence is far more powerful than they know. Libra, you are not chasing miracles. You are the sacred ground upon which miracles unfold. And maybe that's what you've needed to hear all along. That you don't have to do more to be worthy. You simply have to remain in alignment, and everything that's real, everything that's yours, everything that's divinely assigned will come toward your light. So tell me in the comments. What part of this message found you at the perfect time? What truth stirred in you as you listened? Because this isn't just a video. It's a space. And you belong here. Thank you, from the deepest part of my heart, for being part of this moment. And remember, my dear Libra, you are not the one waiting for love to arrive. You are the reason love becomes possible.